There always seems to be difficulty when it comes to adapting Lara Croft either onto the big screen or the small screen. The only real success we've seen would probably be the Angelina Jolie movies back in the early 2000s, but since then, they don't seem to understand what to do with the character or who the target audience is for this character. And this latest iteration from Netflix in the series Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft just goes to show how you can get something that has decent source material that could lend itself to this type of format and just fumble it. Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft appears to be a massive failure as the show failed to chart on Netflix's top 10 list the week it debuted on the streaming service. The show failed to generate even 1.8 million views, which was the amount of views that Prison Break Season 1 generated for the week of October 7th through October 13th, 2024. And that's pretty bad when a new series like this that's dropped all at once isn't even able to beat a series that is, like around 20 years old on Netflix. So that just goes to show there's really not a market for this, or at least not a market for this iteration of the character. Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft debuted on Netflix on October 10th. Okay. Not only did the show not chart in its first week, but it failed to chart in its second week as well. Of note, the animated series Gundam Requiem for Vengeance Season 1 did chart with 2.4 million views, which was good enough for 7th place. So if that was able to chart at 7th place with 2.4 million views, then that just goes to show how abysmal the views for Lara Croft actually were when it comes to this. It is not surprising that the show did not chart given initial reaction to the show's first trailer, which was released back in August, were overwhelmingly negative. As of writing, the first trailer has over 17,000 dislikes to just 10,000 likes. And I got the trailer pulled up right now, and you can see it is pretty bad with 10,000 likes to 18,000 dislikes. Not the worst ratio, mind you, but still that is pretty bad. But I will give Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft some credit though, because they did kind of rally when they released the first full trailer a month later. And you can see that right here. It has 23,000 likes to 11,000 dislikes in the positive, but still that's a lot of dislikes for this. So I think audiences were just kind of taking a cautious approach to this, like a wait and see, because they saw the trailer like, okay, that there's some potential there. I just want to wait to see what other people are saying about it. But then when it was released and we started getting audience scores, it really wasn't too good. Got Rotten Tomatoes pulled up right now, and it has a 33% audience score. So pretty bad for this, which is why I think the show ultimately failed. After the trailer got trashed, showrunner Tasha Hua made things even worse by admitting that she wrote the show for little girls. She was asked by IGN's Katie Reel if making the series animated allows for it to be seen by younger audiences. Hua responded, yes, the hope was always that everyone could watch it. If you played this game and you have young kids, you could sit and watch it and enjoy the world with them. It's sort of a gateway drug to playing the video games if you're younger, but also I definitely wrote it for us, for adults, for people who played the games their whole lives and really enjoyed it. And so the themes are very adult. She did go on to acknowledge that even though the show is violent, that because it's animated, maybe it doesn't feel as graphic as what it could be. But to me, that's not really that big of a deal, saying that you want to make it for everyone and want to try to expand the audience out there. It's like, okay, I get it. You're making it a show right there. You want to appeal to as wide an audience as possible. So you're trying to appeal to adults who grew up playing the games, as well as to maybe their kids or something like that. Nothing wrong with that. I totally understand. And personally, I'd probably try to do the same thing, because I think Lara Croft is something that you can actually have for younger audiences as well as older audiences. The problem I have, though, is this next statement right here. Hua then concluded, I'm writing it for the little girls as much as I'm writing it for big girls. You see the problem with that there? She's just writing it for girls, or trying to make it to appeal to the female demographic. Apparently in the mindset that Lara Croft and the Tomb Raider series is a series that only appeals to the female demographic. And that's not really the best approach right here, because it pretty much just flies in the face of what I was saying. If you're trying to make it for as wide an audience as possible, then you would think that you would be trying to make it for men as well as women, because, you know, men are half the population out there. Not only that, but according to some studies, it's around 60 to 70% of the fans of the Tomb Raider series are actually men. But a lot of these people think because it has a female protagonist that it has a large female audience. And while Tomb Raider might have a larger female audience compared to most other action series out there, it's still a series based off of a video game and the action adventure genre, and that's usually dominated by men. We don't have an exact figure of the demographic breakdown of people who play the Tomb Raider series because it varies between the old ones and the new ones, but still, you would have to admit that at least 50% of the audience is probably males. At least it stands to reason that that would be the case for this. And when you're saying that you're trying to write it specifically for girls and for women, well, then that just goes to show that you're ignoring a large portion of the audience, which is why I think ultimately this failed, because you're trying to leave a lot of it out. On top of this, who also claimed that Lara Croft was a cold figure because she had previously been written by men. She said, think it was fun to be able to have one scene where she does an incredible feat of strength or agility or what have you, the Lara thing, and then another scene where she's hugging a friend and is emotional with them. I think that's something we definitely wanted to explore in terms of Lara's womanhood. I'm clearly not a woman, but if I were, I'd probably think that was a little insulting to suggest because Lara is a woman that she'd be getting emotional at times because, you know, women be getting emotional. Am I right, fellas? It's like the showrunner is just, I'm going to say a self-insert, but she's kind of projecting her own sensibilities onto the character because she's thinking like, well, I'm a woman and I'll get emotional amongst friends in private. So I'm assuming Lara does the exact same too. But that's the thing. Lara isn't like you. She's a different character and she has her own personality. She doesn't have the personality of the writer or the showrunner. She has her own personality as a character. And what she's doing with the character is not in keeping with it. Who attempted to do damage control over the negative reaction to not only the trailer, but her comments as well. She spoke to Entertainment Weekly, telling the outlet, there's a desperate concern that the show is going to be too modern and not be enough of the Lara we know and love. I just want the fans to know that this is the show that we've all been waiting for as fans. It feeds into all the stuff we love from the original games. This is a show made by fans from top to bottom, she declared. And I can even grant the premise that perhaps she actually is a fan of the video games, and maybe the people work on it are actually fans of the video games and they're trying to make something that they think the fans would like. The issue with that, though, is there are also fans who try to project their own sensibilities onto the character. So instead of trying to appease the fans who are fans of the Lara Croft character, they're trying to appease their own sensibilities of the Lara Croft character, if that actually makes any sense. And when you're doing that, well, suddenly a large amount of the population who actually did like Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider games because of her character are suddenly finding themselves not able to really get behind this version of the character because this isn't the character that they know and love. This is the character that the writers and the showrunner of this show know and love. You can see the audience reaction to that kind of reflect that. I already talked about that. This is the IMDb score, which you can see is overwhelmingly negative. This review from the Critical Drinker had this to say about it. Tomb Raider is a effing embarrassment that shames the very name of Lara Croft, sacrifices character and story integrity to work in a tedious and cringy tropes of modern writing, wastes in talented voice casts and clunky dialogue, and rams it all home with bad animation that looks about 20 years out of date. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of a good way to sum this up, but there is a sliver of hope when it comes to this show right here, because it's quite possible that this isn't going to be the worst Tomb Raider thing coming out in recent years, because word still is out that Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Amazon Prime Tomb Raider is still on the go. So we'll just have to wait and see when that comes out, if that's going to take the mantle as the worst Tomb Raider thing right now. But still, I maintain that the Angelina Jolie movies are the high watermark for this franchise when it comes to adopting it either for the big or small screen. But still, I think it would be nice if we get something a little bit more true to form to the character and something more deserving of a Tomb Raider title as opposed to what we've been getting in recent years. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.